Well, hello and welcome to this special one-off podcast about the Bournemouth Writing Festival. It started in 2023 and just coming up to the fourth festival in 2 weeks' time from today in April. It has grown enormously. There's now over 100 events at the main festival, some paid, some free. But beyond that, the festival has expanded into events all around the year, from networking events, writing groups based in local libraries, all sorts of community events, and even spinning off into a romance writing festival. All that it's just over 3 years really since it all got going.
Really.
So quite incredible. And we've all been involved in the festival in various ways as speakers or presenters or behind the scenes. So ahead of the festival this year, we thought we'd do a special podcast and just reminisce about the festival and just talk about what we're going to be doing there this year and what makes the Bournemouth Writing Festival so special. So for introductions, Jo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. My name's Jo Chinn, and I'm the author of Under the Hickory Tree, which is my debut novel. Came out in June 2025, I think it was. And the Bournemouth Writing Festival means the absolute world to me. If it wasn't for the Bournemouth Writing Festival, I wouldn't be sitting here now with a published book behind me.
I'm Alice G. May, and I am the author of The Resistance Girls. Like Jo, I've been involved with the festival right from the beginning and absolutely loved every experience that I've had as part of it. It's been fantastic.
My name's Sophie Beal, and I have been involved in the festival from the beginning. I think I came for the Saturday to do a talk for free because we weren't being paid in those days, and met Alice for the first time.
Yes.
And we've been firm friends ever since.
We made terrible coffee for people.
And yes, and we talk about when we retire, finding somewhere to make terrible coffee for people.
Yes, and read lots of books.
Yes. And no, I've loved it. It's basically created community around writing, hasn't it?
Definitely.
Gary dragged me along to a cultural compact, and they were talking about how creatives throughout Bournemouth there's lots of creativity, but the creatives aren't connected with each other. And we put our hand up and said, how about Bournemouth Writing Festival?
They were very much talking about on the visual arts and
Yes.
performing arts side of things. And they were probably feeling like we were 5 years ago, wanting to all join up and know who was available and who was doing what. So they're a bit behind, but they're now starting a WhatsApp group, and then hopefully we can link to that as well. So
That would be
Yeah,
interesting.
it's been a great template.
yeah. I'm Gary Dalkin. I'm a writer and editor, and again I've been involved with the festival from the beginning. In the first year, we did a panel with Sophie and one of my clients, and Steve here, he chaired the panel, and we've been involved ever since. And it has been something that I would have had no idea how to go about doing it, but I'd always wanted something like this because as a writer or an editor, you're stuck by yourself all your working life, and you don't know who else is out there. And it turns out that Bournemouth was absolutely full of writers and other creative people that I had no idea that all these people were out there.
And there's more and more coming out of the woodwork.
Yes.
My name's Steve Cox. I'm the author of currently 2 historical novels set in the English Civil War. That's As the Sparks Fly Upwards and A Bag of Blood and Bones. And I'm finishing off the 3rd book, and hopefully that's going to be ready shortly. And equally, my experience of the Bournemouth Writers Festival is that I was involved in the first one a little bit, and then more and more as the years have gone by. That's only, 3...
It's
Feels
the fourth
like
one this
four.
year,
Yeah.
isn't
But
it?
it feels like forever,
That's
doesn't
right.
it? It feels like we've always had it.
Yeah.
It's a marker in the
It's-
diary, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
Well,
Absolutely, and it's
Festivals coming.
been really instrumental, I think, in bringing together writers and people who enjoy writing and reading in a way that I couldn't have conceived of just a few years ago, which is really exciting, and
It's the
it's
sharing
linked
of
me
knowledge,
with so
isn't
many writers that I wasn't aware of before.
yeah.
Do you know what I think is different about the Bournemouth Writing Festival from all of the other festivals is that it's not a lit fest per se, it's a writing festival.
Yes.
And it's for people who want to write. And that encouragement and that support and that giving ideas and showing you how things are lifting the lid really on the whole publication industry.
It's
Yeah, I mean, they used to be, well, they only lasted a year, but there was a pool literary festival, which would follow the traditional model. That was in 2010, and it only lasted, the person who ran it, they had funding for 2 years, but they found it so exhausting to do it for the 1 year, and it was at the time of the financial crash, and they didn't have the money beyond 2 years. They'd got Arts Council money, and they decided not to continue because they couldn't see a future for it. But that was very much in the old model where big name writers come and people fawn over them. And what I really like about the Bournemouth Writing Festival, it's the other way round.
If I was a big name writer, I wouldn't mind people forming.
No, I'm sure they don't. I'm sure they don't. But it had that very
There's
much.
a lot of that, isn't
It
there?
had that very much. Oh, they're famous, therefore they operate in a different world to us, and it had that elitist feel to it. Where what I like about the Bournemouth Writing Festival is the opposite. It is so inclusive and welcoming.
Incredibly.
Well, we're just practicing for
Yeah.
later on,
Yeah.
aren't we?
Yes.
One thing that Dominic has said several times is he thought he put on the festival, and it was amazing. They did the first one in 6 months, and then found that people were saying, "What's next?" And he thought, "What do you mean, what's next?" And he thought, "Well, next year we'll do another one." But no, people had that sense of community. It's like everyone had got together and were making friends in that 3 days, and they wanted to do more.
Alice and I had
Yeah.
retirement plans.
We have
Yeah,
already.
exactly. So
We'd organised our retirement plans by the end of it.
people were saying we need more, so he started doing networking meetings, and we're having monthly or every 6 weeks networking meetings. That sense of connecting people together.
I think it's because everybody has a story,
Yeah.
you know, and people do connect at that level in terms of stories, don't they? And being able to share how you would go about actually putting a story together in order to bring somebody else along on the adventure with you. I think all of those skills, there's a lot that goes into it, and lots of people have got lots of different tips, and it's just nice to be able to connect at that level.
But on top of that, I think it's worth reminding people who might be watching this that being a writer can be a very solitary activity.
It can.
We spend an awful lot of time on our own, squirreled away, typing away, furiously, researching, hours going down those rabbit holes, time spent alone.
And we might enjoy the idea of being alone, but it doesn't half turn us a bit bonkers.
I was getting to that bit. Absolutely. And what the Writing Festival also does is it brings us out of our houses and our offices and wherever it is that we write and joins us up and actually reminds us that we're not alone when we're sitting there, trying to produce something wonderful that other people are going to want to read.
Particularly, actually, if you end up writing yourself into a corner and then
I think it's because they're writing yourself into a book.
into a corner.
I haven't done that yet.
On a draft I did recently, I did write myself into a corner, and I knew I'd gone wrong somewhere, but I couldn't quite work out where, and I just needed to get away from it, and talk to other creatives and just relax and have a bit of fun. And so I went for coffee, and I think it was with you and Alex actually.
I was thinking, I hope you haven't been being inspired by other people.
we went for coffee, didn't we? We were just chatting generally, and then I just being out and relaxing and connecting.
No, it does
that
make a
way.
massive
I was able to go
difference.
back and revisit the
It's a
manuscript
bit
and work out what's gone
exhausting.
wrong.
When the three of us go out, it is a bit exhausting though, because there are so many ideas. You've got three creatives together.
Is there a referee?
We should say, for the benefit of people listening, that we're talking about Alex Stone,
Yes.
the best-selling psychological thriller writer,
Yes, sorry,
who lives
yes.
locally as well.
Yes, yeah, that's good. And she runs all three
Yes,
events.
and she's now split off and formed her own thing called Author Events, where again puts on about half a dozen events every month throughout the Bournemouth conurbation.
Yes.
So,
To support
yeah.
writers.
Yes,
support
another
writers, yeah.
opportunity for writers to get together, which
Yeah,
has
so,
got to be good, hasn't
so
it?
again, that's sort of come out of the festival, and just so much going on. So
Yeah.
could we say what we're each going to be doing at the festival briefly, and just talk about that and what?
Shall I start?
Yeah, if you'd like to start.
Well,
Joe.
this year it's a really big step up for me because 2023, when it first started, I was in the audience and I was sitting there with a half a manuscript in my bag, soaking up all the advice and everything that the people were saying. And from that day, from 2023, I got ideas, I got connections, and I was able to get my manuscript finished and published. And so it's always been a dream since then to actually be part of the festival and be one of those people there speaking about it and talking about my journey and how I went from being in the audience to actually having a published book now. So this year will be the first time I'm taking part in the festival. and I'm going to be in the Writers' Hive, which is like an author marketplace which gathers together people, local authors, or in fact not just all local authors, are there? There's other authors who've recently published books. And that is a free event. Anybody can turn up to that. That is not ticketed. So if you're in the Bournemouth area on that Sunday, please do come down to Bobby's, which is where the Writers' Hive is going to be.
That's the old Debenhams, isn't it?
Well, actually, the bit that we're going to be using for the Writers' Hive is the patch sort of space
That's on the
above,
first floor, isn't
which
it?
is the first floor space above. And that's where the Writers' Hive will be, and there will be lots of authors. So anyone can come along, talk to the people who've done the writing, look at the books, buy the books. But equally, everybody who's there at the Writers' Hive is going to be part of one of a number of different panels. And I think, actually, Gary, you're chairing one of the.
So there's one called Getting to Grips with Historical Fiction that, Steve, you're on that one. I'm chairing two of them, and Kathleen Wyman is chairing the other three, and then I'm sort of running the whole day. If there is any problem or any people come to me, and with Paul Smart, we keep the whole thing on track, hopefully.
And so, just Kathleen Wyman is.
She writes sort of domestic comedy, romance sort of books, very successful, and she's very talented. She also does interviews for author events, which you can find on YouTube. So everything sort of interconnects. There's all sorts of connections.
Kathleen is going to be chairing the panel that I'm on, which is about getting your words out there. So I'll be very interested to sort of see the kind of questions she's going to fire at us about that. But just to mention also that the panels do have a fee, which is just a £5 admission fee. But that is, I think it's redeemable against any purchases that are made in the Hive. So it supports local authors as well, which is fabulous.
That's a great idea.
I think that's Gary's idea.
I think that Dominic came up with the. Actually, I think it's £10 to see a panel, but you get a £5 voucher to spend in the Hive.
Right.
And there's about 20 authors there with their books. So there's quite a lot of books you can spend it on. So basically, it costs you effectively costs you £5 to see the talk.
And you're bound to be able to find a book.
And a fiver for a book probably as well.
Yeah.
So who else is on your panel?
They're not actually authors who I'm well acquainted with as it happens. So not people that I've met before on the circuit. So again, that's quite interesting because I'm going to be meeting a whole new bunch of people.
Yeah.
And we do have a sort of something in common because we're all going to be talking about getting your words out there. So it'll be really nice to sort of have a chat. I mean, you and I, Steve, we kind of met once through a panel, didn't we?
That's right, at Riva Cafe earlier this year.
Yeah, that was an author events thing. And I actually feel that the people who I was on that panel with, I feel like they're my friends now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you've been through the
There's no
trauma of
getting
being
away
on
from you're my friend for life, okay.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, like
That's
it or
right.
not.
That's a sentence.
So Alice, what are you going to be doing at the festival?
Oh, well, I'm really looking forward to this because I am doing a speaking event with my daughter, who is also a writer. She writes under the name Hannah Kingsley, and she is a Sunday Times best-selling author. And I'm not remotely jealous, even though I'm also a writer.
Even though you introduced her to her agent.
I did introduce her to her agent.
Will be
yes.
a Sunday Times bestseller.
She and I have both signed multi-book deals with publishers. She has an agent. I do not have an agent, and we thought it would be quite interesting to do an event that sort of examines the pros and cons of whether or not a writer does actually need an agent or not,
really
and whether you
interesting.
want one, and what an agent can do for you, basically, because she's really happy with her agent. She's signed with the Kate Nash Literary Agency, really happy with them, and they are lovely. I quite like not having an agent, and I like being able to liaise directly with my publisher. So
but your publisher are particularly good.
Boldwood,
Yes.
Boldwood Books are particularly good as a publisher, and they are very good at the way they interact with writers. And I think it's an example of how things are changing, because in the past you didn't used to be able to get published without an agent at all. And obviously now it is possible, although it's still quite difficult to do without an agent. So we're going to be looking at both of our individual routes into publishing and signing those multi-book deals, and obviously answering questions. So if anyone is interested in that aspect, it would be really nice for them to come along. So we're on the Sunday morning, I think at 10:30.
Yes.
Okay, I'll come to you in a moment. So.
I'm very sorry. I've talked enough anyway.
Yeah. No, because there's method in my madness.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes.
Yeah. Steve, so what would you be doing?
Well, I've volunteered on previous years for the Writers' Festival, and I'll be doing that again this year. So folks might come across me as they're moving around between venues. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be going to a historical novelist breakfast, so I'm looking forward to that on the Saturday morning as well. And then I'll have a stall in the Hive on the Sunday as well, and I'll be on the panel with you, Gary. So I'm looking forward to all of that. I think it should be a really exciting time.
Yes, I'm always on a high afterwards. I'm absolutely exhausted by the Monday.
Yeah, for about 3 weeks. Just sort of buzzing for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, you absolutely. There's a real buzz with it,
Yeah.
isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But there's
it's
just
fantastic.
so much to see and do. It's just hard to fit it all in, isn't it?
Well, you can't. You just see a fraction of it.
Yeah.
But what's lovely, I don't know, it just feels like you're with friends.
Yeah.
It's always felt bizarrely, even when I didn't know people, like a safe space. And normally the idea of going to a festival is terrifying. I hope it's like that for everybody else, but that's how it feels to me.
I think a lot of writers are quite introverted, and so to go to something like that can be quite daunting. But actually, if you just turn up, people just scoop you in, don't they? And they're so welcoming.
And if we're not welcoming, please just pull us up on it.
The feedback in previous years has been all about how friendly everybody's been
Yes,
and
yes.
inclusive, and
Yes,
that's exactly
There's
what we
no
want
real-
to continue, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
there's
think
no
that-
real snobbery involved at
No.
all, is
Well,
there?
yeah, I think, and that comes back to the fact that it's not a lit,
A lit
fest.
festival.
And it doesn't have that sort of elitism
No.
about it that lit fests can have. Not
Yes.
that I'm disparaging lit fests.
No, 'cause they're great.
They are.
Yeah.
We would
But
like to be
there-
booked.
Lit fests are a very different beast.
Yes.
With this being a writing festival, it is a completely
Yes,
different feel. Like you say, it's very welcoming. It's for everybody, from people who haven't even put pen to paper yet, who are just thinking about putting pen to paper. There's something there for you if you are that person, and you just need that little nudge to push you onto
Yes.
the journey.
Because there are so
think
many
that's-
different. Oh, sorry, Steve.
I was going to say, I think that's really interesting that it's a writers' festival, but it's for readers as well, because there's so much talk about the books, and the books are available, and you're speaking to that seed that's inside people about
Yes.
the story that they have
Yes.
that might make it grow.
Yes.
And you never know
Absolutely.
who else is going to have a similar experience to you.
Well, there we go. I was in the audience in 2023, and and now I'm on a panel.
Yeah.
So it goes to show that it can be done.
Can be done.
Because the festival really joined the dots up front. Well, actually, no, the festival gave me the dots in the first place, and then helped me join them up. Because until then, I had no idea. I didn't come from a writing background or literary at all. I've had a previous career that is nothing to do with writing. In fact, it was about as uncreative as you could possibly get. And it was retirement and looking for a creative outlet.
Early retirement. Early retirement.
I did not. I did retire. I did my time. Believe you me, I did my time. But yeah, it was retirement from a previous career that made me sort of look for something creative to do. But without any knowledge at all about publishing. I mean, I laugh to myself now when I think about how naive I was and how I thought it worked compared to actually how it does work. But without the writing festival, I would never have had that opportunity to get that insight.
And it's empowering in that way, isn't it?
Oh, hugely.
But I really think we also ought to think about the other aspect that the Writing Festival is so vital for. It's not just publishing, it's just about writing for mental health and
Yes.
well-being.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that, I think, has got an even wider remit for people within the community.
Yeah, that's a really valuable point, actually, because this isn't all about, making money.
No.
No, it's
not at all.
I mean, it's literally about writing, whether you're getting even being published or not.
yeah.
And whether
You've
you're
got people-
showing it to
Yeah,
anyone
when
or
we are.
not.
And again, you can have people who are complete beginners, and like Joe was coming along, know nothing about the publishing world or anything.
Yes.
And you can be chatting with someone like Joe was, and a best-selling writer, and everyone's on a level playing field.
Exactly.
And there is none of that.
And each type of writing is as important as the next. Not it's not just that. You have to get a publisher and you have to get a book deal.
No,
or
that's-
It's such a spectrum, isn't it? And Bournemouth Writing Festival caters for that whole spectrum.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, especially we're living through, I think most people would agree, pretty dark times at the moment. And again, for mental health, just before I came out, I was watching a podcast with Heather Cox Richardson, and she was actually went from politics almost to promoting the festival in a sense. And she was saying, people say to me, but what can I do? And she was actually saying you can step away from things. You can, if you're interested, look at architecture or art, and she started referencing some of the American writers who, at the end of the Victorian period, in the era of the robber barons, people were turning to new forms of literature to try and sort of deal with things and address the situation and understand the world. The world was changing rapidly, and it was that same thing that people were doing then. It was almost like she was promoting what the benefits of it, that you turn to art, literature, poetry, whatever it might be, that you need that for your mental health in when the world is looking like it's a dark place.
Yes, I have found, obviously you read the news and you get quite disturbed about it, and then I'll go and I'll be writing my manuscript and I'll realise I've got control over what happens in my life. I'm quite happy.
Is that something called a God complex?
Possibly.
Well, interesting, you're writing about another really even darker time in the Second World War.
Yes,
where
absolutely.
Things sometimes you imagine perspective when you think things are bad now, and you think, what must the things have seemed like in the middle? You didn't know how it was going to turn out, for one thing.
No. Although my books aren't dark.
No,
Yes,
but you're writing within a situation where people didn't know.
It must have seemed like end of days.
Yeah.
Yes.
When in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Well, the tumultuous period in our history is the English Civil War.
Yes,
When
it
people
is.
did feel as though the world was coming to an end, and people were looking at signs and preachers that were preaching millenary doctrine, and the whole fabric of society seemed to be falling apart. And so I find a lot of relief in spending time there with my writing.
Because you know how it ended, I think maybe.
It's that issue of control.
It is.
You can move the pieces and you know why they're there, and if they do move, you can take time over why that move is important.
Because
We have no control like that over the current
No,
world.
it's a bit like with COVID. A lot of people said we can't write about COVID now. While we're in it.
Yes.
Perhaps in a few years' time, when we've processed it, we'll be able to write about it. And I think to really be able to control a situation, you need to be able to look. Well, certainly with historical fiction, you need to be able to look back on it, don't you?
Yes, so that there's some sort of lesson that's been learned from it. But I do remember after COVID, quite a lot of the agents saying, because I was organising one-to-ones at one stage for the Bristol Festival, and a lot of the agents were saying, well, actually, that we're overrun with people writing about the COVID situation. So we really, if someone's submitting about that at the moment, it's not something that's going to get picked up.
I'd be interested to know who the audience would be for that.
Because we all went through it.
Well, what interested me was, I used to think years ago, I would think, why is there nothing hardly in literature about the Spanish flu pandemic, where 50 million people died? We have so much writing about the Great War for Civilization, as they called it at the time, and then no sooner did the war, well, in the closing months of the war, this dreadful plague was spreading around the world, 50 million people die, and there's nothing, it's not in literature or hardly anything. Well, now we know. It's like everyone wants to forget about it and move on. But going back to Sophie,
we have gone off.
We've got
a bit off track.
get back. No, that's fine.
Yeah, very enjoyably off track.
Absolutely.
Off track.
No, I want to bring back to Sophie. What are you going to be doing at the festival?
I'm trying to remember now.
can tell you.
Mainly, Alice and I, and together with the Mysterious Bookshop,
Yes.
we are running the Speakers Bookshop,
Yes, although Sophie is in charge of that and I'm just doing as I'm told.
apparently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So
And
you're doing that for all 3 days of the festival.
I'm doing that for all 3 days of the festival.
Yes.
So come along and say hello.
Yes,
and
please do.
We'll try and sell you a book.
Yes. You
but-
don't have to buy it, but I'm sure you'll want to.
Yes, just the way we present it.
Yes.
We only have the opportunity to sell you a book once a year. We're not
Yes.
We're going to make it count. And then Gary and I are doing our spiel at our talk, Organising Chaos, which we've done before.
Yes.
And
Which is really good.
And Sophie came up with the name Organising Chaos, which seems to have really resonated with people. I think a lot of writers and creative people, they feel that, yeah, things are chaotic. And so we offered a solution. The subtitle is Turn a Messy Draft into a Publishable Novel. And so we did that 2 years ago, and it sold out. So last year, Dominic put us in the biggest theatre.
And I was terrified. I thought, he's put us in the big theatre.
He's put
What
us in the
happens
big
if only
theatre.
12 people turn up?
Well, we ended up
And those
being...
12 people will have a fantastic event.
Yeah, they will have a... Yes.
Well, we didn't quite sell out, but we did end up being the
It was
best-selling
good,
daytime
wasn't it?
event of the festival.
It's
Well,
huge.
there we are.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah, so we're doing it again this year, and each year it's a bit different because we have slides, but it's not a lecture because that can get a bit
I
boring.
learnt a new term last year. I learnt because people kept on thanking me for it, and they said, "Thank you for your fireside chat." We had a fireside.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
We've also done an extended version for Writing Magazine online as a webinar. A lot of people we find will have written a book or written a manuscript and they think that that's it, but then they realise that that's only the beginning of the process.
It is.
And they sort of, not necessarily panic, but sort of almost somewhere between panic and despair sometimes. So what do I do now? Well, we're there to guide you through the process of once you've got that first or early draft, we'll talk through and explain how you can get that through various versions. We have lots of practical tips and techniques and also assure you the fact that this is normal. You are not a failure because your book isn't working at the moment.
And
We're there to get it
in the
working.
pipeline, not on the back of this is what Bournemouth Writing Festival has done for us. We are developing a course called Organising Chaos, aren't we?
We are.
Partly inspired by all the things I wished I could tell my authors.
That sounds really good.
Well, I didn't want my thing is I have to tell them the same things, and I want them to know that they're not alone. I don't want them feeling like they're the only person who's ever got something wrong, kind of thing. But we all make the same mistakes when we're writing, and so it's originally the idea of this course was originally for cadence authors, because just to be able to direct them to something that's already been curated and developed. But we're going to basically put it out.
Organising Chaos seems to have taken on a life of its own.
It
It's
really
just
does,
getting
yes.
bigger and bigger, and
Yes.
we thought it was just a one-off talk when we
Yes.
came
I
up with
think
the
it's
idea
because it
for
just resonates so well. I mean, that's a
Yes.
great title, Organising Chaos, and as you said, that talks to an awful lot of people because you get to the end of your manuscript and you sort of think, right, I've got my plot and my story out there, but it just seems to be a bit all over the place.
Yes.
And there are very few people who can, start at the beginning, write beautifully all the way through their manuscript and arrive perfectly at the end.
Every so often you find somebody does do that.
There are
They're
those
very
wonderful
hard
people.
to relate to.
But you
Yeah,
usually
like-
find you've spent so long plotting it. before
Yes,
they've
I think
started
that's
writing,
right.
that's almost their first draft, is their plot.
I think
rather
that's
than
it.
their-
I think you have to decide where you're going to spend your time. Are
Yes.
you going to spend your time beforehand, or are you going to do all your work up beforehand, or are you going to do most of the work afterwards?
But even then, when you write it, you create problems that
Yes.
you didn't know about
No,
because
yes,
your subconscious tricks
Like
you.
you painted yourself into a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly,
You
yes.
create all sorts of problems, but I mean, there's this perfect sort of sit down and just write. That's the Hollywood cliche because Hollywood, when they have an author in a movie, they can't show the actual process of writing a book. So they have this montage and they show someone writing, they're typing, they print the pages out, put them in an envelope, go down to the post office and post them off. And then the next scene, you see all the printing presses going
Yes.
and the books appearing in the bookshop windows. And it's that simple and
One of
straightforward.
my favourite films is The Anne of Green Gables. You know you
Yes.
know which one I mean. And she basically, the music starts up. She looks longingly at a photo.
Yeah.
She's immediately inspired. She picks up a pen, and then 2 seconds later, she's
She writes it overnight,
She
practically.
does,
doesn't
basically,
she?
And
yeah.
then
It's written by
there's
the
a close up
morning.
of writing at the end, isn't
Yes,
there?
yeah.
And then
and
you
it's a
have to
great
post it off
and
and
it's a
then
great bestseller.
It's
And she-
immediately accepted by a publisher.
Yes, there's no discussions with agents. There's no you don't see
spell
them-
check.
No.
But surely then she wakes up and it's all been a dream.
But this is why people think that they've got something wrong because I think that for myself, apart from the talk with Sophie, and I will be at the bookshop a lot of the time as well because that's just the most fun thing and to hang out and
It is
network
the best
with
place
people.
to be.
So yeah, I will be around at the bookshop a lot of the time.
Are there going
And-
to be any book launches?
We've got 4 book launches, including, and this again is one of these really nice full circle things. Last year, at the end of doing the Organising Chaos talk, you have to get out within a few minutes because they need to set up for the get the next talk in half an hour later. So they need to clear out and everything. There were a few minutes to talk, and a couple of people came up to me and talked. And it's such a blur and a whirlwind. I don't even remember these conversations. But two people who were at the talk then hired me to edit their books. And one of them was Sasha Hughes. And I edited her book, and it is being launched at the festival.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, well
And
done.
it's called Love.
Well done, Sasha, as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love.
Well done, the Bournemouth Festival.
Yes,
for
yes.
putting people together to make it happen.
Yeah,
That's
so
fantastic.
again, she's really excited about that. The book is called Love, Grief, and More Sex Than Pinot. And it's Bridget Jones meets Fleabag, and I'd say probably with a bit of Sex and the City in there as well.
Right.
And so that's going to be a lot of fun, the launch of that, and we've got 3 other launches as well. And it's going to be so full on. We're all just going to be buzzing and exhausted for a couple of weeks afterwards.
I didn't get the point of launching at the festival until your launch last year.
Yes.
And it was so lovely. It was there was a lovely alchemy, synergy anyway, between the festival and your launch juice and the festival. It had a nice...
I think it was quite comforting from my perspective because it was the first book in the series being launched. And although I have self-published other books before, I'd never ever had a launch before because I was too frightened that nobody would come. Genuinely.
That is a terror.
I was
That is an
terrified.
absolute
So being able to do it within the festival and know that there were lots of writers around and writers that I'd met and people that understood the amount of work that goes into it, I figured that this is probably the safest environment within which to launch a book because there's that cushion around you of people that genuinely wish you well. And it was amazing. I was amazed how many people turned up. It was lovely.
And you sold out of books, didn't you?
I did.
You had to keep on putting new books on the bookstore.
Yeah, you sell lots of books, and of course you also get lots of photos that you can put on social media.
And it was
fantastic for
The
promotion.
exposure is marvellous, isn't it?
Yes.
It really is lovely exposure for
and the
for a new
photography
book.
as well. I had a headshot done at the
Oh, that's where you
festival
got
as
it
well.
from.
Yes.
It was part of the launch package.
Yes, solid imagery. You should mention.
They were brilliant.
the official festival photographers,
Yeah.
and they're everywhere, all over the festival, taking photographs of everything that happens.
Yes.
And they also do a studio where you can get professional author photos.
Yes.
I think most of the sessions are booked now, but there are still probably some left. £45 for a session, and
You've just reminded me about something else that I'm doing at the festival, and that's not as a participant in the festival, but I'm having one of the author one-to-one sessions.
Oh, yes.
With an agent. In fact, actually, I do have 2 booked as it happens.
That's a really good idea because you get. That's a really good idea because you can get some balance.
That's exactly why I chose to do it, because I am looking to publish again, and I do have a work in progress that I've submitted. And
Is this a sequel or a whole new?
It's it can be read as a standalone,
Right.
but it does connect to Under the Hickory Tree. So, but I wouldn't go as far as to call it a spin-off.
Right. From my own experience, a couple of years ago, I had a one-to-one with an agent, and they liked the manuscript I was showing them, but they said the market is too crowded for this type of book.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. I enjoyed it, but you will struggle to place it with a publisher. And so I said, well, what would you recommend that I write in order to get, where is there a hole in the market? And she was saying World War II strong female voices.
And you listened to her.
And I listened to her, so I wrote World War II strong female voices, and then signed.
Here we are today.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get so much information.
so I think we probably should wrap this up now. And
I'm trying to think how to.
how do we wrap this up?
Song and dance as usual.
Yeah, we're going to break into a musical number or not.